Hi, Yvette.
Hi.
How are you, beautiful?
I'm okay, and you?
I'm I'm feeling better. I wish I felt a lot better, but I'm feeling better. And you?
I'm okay. I'm glad
Yeah,
I'm glad you're feeling better. Mhm.
yeah, me too.
Can you listen to me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Perfect. Okay. So I think
Sorry.
we are recording.
Oh, good. I'm so glad you know how to do this kind of stuff because my daughter had to help me get in
Uh-huh.
to figure everything out. I'm terrible at tech.
I also learn with with my son. My son, he helps me a lot with
Oh,
team.
thank goodness for our children, right?
Oh,
Yeah, so I got to look at some of your beautiful performance art. You do really, really wonderful stuff. I was like,
oh,
it's
you,
enchanting. It's mesmerizing because it's so different, it's you really you get into a space where it's almost shamanic. I really
wow.
enjoyed it.
Thank you. Where did you see it?
Well, you had given me some links, so I went on YouTube
Oh,
and I
okay.
was just one of them was just your mouth and you were like doing different sounds and stuff. I can't recreate it, but some of them was actually you singing. It was beautiful.
Thank
It was
you.
really nice.
Thank you.
So this is hard for me getting to know people, but not that hard. But I guess we're supposed to get to know each other, and then we're going to help all these other people come into the Aquarian age, and
I
it's
know.
kind of a big job.
I know. And it is also exciting.
It's so exciting.
Yes, it is. Yes, as I was telling you before in Messenger, I think that finally, like, I feel that things are coming together because I think that we as a collective spent a lot of years trying to figure out what was going on.
Yes.
Like to make sense of this feeling of not belonging and
Mm-hmm.
uh, having a different path, not living the status quo, and it's a kind of isolated path in
Yes.
some way. Mhm.
Yes. I keep hearing that from people all over the world. I've spoken since I've been in the group most recently,
Uh-huh.
since the kids came in and I talking about the kids this last conjunction. Excuse me, I have a top denture and I don't have it, so I'm kind of lisping. Excuse the way I look. So
Oh,
that's why I'm kind of like
don't worry
lisping
about
because
it.
it's
You don't have
it's
to.
getting it's getting fixed. It's getting fixed. Um, but the kids were coming in this last February, and that's when everyone started thinking more about ushering in the Aquarian age to help the kids to come in more. And then I started talking to people from Thailand and Australia
Wow.
and England, and all of them are saying the same thing you are, that it's a big mission and to help, but it seemed like it got more exciting and more urgent after as that conjunction happened in February. Like we're
That's
bringing in,
true. I feel
yeah,
it that way also. Hmm.
yeah. And then Dan has been key with the IT stuff, like saying we have to get to know each other. And I told him, I said, I said it's going to take forever for us to get to know each other one on one. Let's do groups of 3 or 4. Yeah.
I know. But at least we're trying and we are developing a system along the way, which is, we just started, and that was important. It was important to start doing
Yes.
this, and
Yes.
to document our experiences, and and these conversations, because we never know how we are going to help the new generation somehow.
Yeah,
You never
exactly.
know.
Right, right. And
Yeah.
like your art, how that's going to impact, the Aquarian age, how we have so many artists and just so many talents. And one thread that I think has been kind of ongoing that people have been sharing is their feeling of being lonely as children. Would you say that was something?
Yes. Yes, I spent my whole childhood being very isolated in my room mostly, but I always had something to do. I always like to write and to do music, but I also did a lot of fantasy. I had
Mhm.
fantasy friends that were almost more real than the real people. So that's how I spent my childhood. Like,
And you were raised in Puerto Rico?
I was raised in Puerto Rico, yes.
Well, tell me more about that. I mean, we're supposed to get to know,
Uh-huh.
and God, I feel like everyone already is sick of me because I've already talked to Dan and Pascal.
No, well, I start and then it's your turn. um, yes, I was born and raised in Puerto Rico the first 20 years of my life. And as I told you in the chat, I was not a Catholic. We were not raised as Catholics. And that was very, very interesting because somehow my siblings and I felt that we were different.
Mhm.
My father was more interested in esoterics, especially Rosicrucian,
Right.
and also I remember that we went to there was like an ashram in San Juan that was called the Meditation Center of Sri Chinmoy, and
Mhm.
I used to go there to meditate with my father when I was like 2 or 3 years old. And from that age I remember being very little and trying to to
Well,
meditate with.
was that Buddhist?
Yes, it was a guru that used to visit Puerto Rico, and we went there to meditate in that center. So he was always traveling, but he had a center in Puerto Rico, and well, we went there regardless he was there or not. I remember seeing him and meeting him, but we were regularly there to
What
meditate.
was what was the name again?
Sri Chinmoy.
Sri Shimoy. I
Uh-huh.
haven't heard of him, but
Uh-huh.
interesting.
Yes, very
Wow.
interesting. And my mother, on the other hand, was a newborn Christian.
Oh, wow.
Yes, because she lost her mother when she was a teenager, and the way that she felt a sense of community was joining this church, and she became a newborn Christian. But my father and my mother had a very good, they compromised with each other very well, and they had a very good negotiation in terms of the influence that they wanted to give us in terms of spirituality. So I feel that I benefited from both of
Mhm.
the other faith, my mother faith and my father spiritual path. at the same time. Simultaneously.
Wow, that is amazing that she was a newborn Christian. You know, they must have really had a good communication skills to
Well,
have
yes,
both.
I think that the thing that really connected them was that they share, my father and my mother shared this love of reading the Bible and talking about the Bible, and the love for Jesus, because Rosicrucian also believe in Jesus,
That's
like the cosmic Jesus, and
mm-hmm.
my mother religion believe in Jesus in another way, but they have connections, and I think it was very, very beneficial, even though it's very interesting because when you are not born when you are not raised as a Catholic in an island that is mostly Catholic, at least in my time it was, um, it is not only about faith, it's also about a whole scope of life, a different type of behavior, different type of body language. Everything is different when you
Mm-hmm.
are a Catholic. So that was what I always, for me, what was always difficult to translate, because I was always translated the unspoken part of the conversations, the intentions and the uh, their emotions, it was different. I remember that. And I have had this conversation with my sister, even even recently. We had that conversation, how difficult it was for us to understand the behavior of the people around us.
Uh-huh.
It was like another language.
Yeah. I bet you
Yes,
felt really alienated and left out. I mean,
exactly.
and isn't Puerto Rico like almost 100% Catholic? I mean, isn't it?
But not anymore. Right now it's like half Protestant and half
Mm-hmm.
Catholic. And there is also a movement of new thought and new age. There is also something going on in that direction for the past 2 or 3 decades.
Right. How
Little by
many
little. Mm,
little by little it's opening up
yes.
and getting a little bit more progressive and well, that's
Uh-huh.
good. I mean, well, you obviously were very I mean, you're talking about the fantasy and stuff. So obviously you always had that artistic nature and that was always really viable in you. Like where were you in with siblings? Did you have a lot of siblings or were
No,
you the young?
I have a sister and a brother, and they
Mhm.
are younger than me. I am the oldest.
Oh, nice. That's nice.
Yes.
Yeah. And you're February 4th like I am too, aren't you?
Yes.
Which,
That's
I
amazing.
talked to another February 4th. Mary Mervis is another February 4th. And then
Uh-huh.
there was another lady, and I just can't keep up with all of them. I'm starting to know some other February 4th, and I never knew anyone else that was born on my birth date until I joined this group, and it's kind of exciting.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you know what house your stellium is in?
I think it is in the fourth house,
Oh,
uh-huh,
wow. How interesting.
which is home, and it's like Cancer, right? I think it's Cancer,
Hmm.
and it's about home, the family, I believe.
God, I wish I knew more about astrology. It's like you kind of, being one of these special, because we are special about. We have to admit that. It's kind of a weird thing to say. it feels like an egotistical thing to say, but it's true. We're special, you know. All the stellium children are, you know, and it's like it kind of forces you to learn more about astrology, whether you want
Yes,
to.
I wish I knew more. I really don't know anything about astrology, but some little by little I read and kind of try to understand.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, I mean, I had 5 brothers and sisters, and I'm the baby. And I grew up in Oklahoma, which is totally different than Puerto Rico, I'm sure of it. Oklahoma's completely different. I mean, it's
it's at the north of Texas, right?
yeah.
I went
And
once to Oklahoma.
oh, you did
It's very pretty.
to
Yes.
perform or
No, I went as a chaperone for my son because my son went to a spiritual retreat for Unity Church,
oh no,
and they have a place over there up there for
oh
kids.
how cool.
Yes,
That's
and it's in
cool.
the middle of nature. Very
Yes.
beautiful.
Yeah, and that's the thing about a lot of people think Oklahoma's just flat and there's nothing there, but there's actually a lot of pretty spots. There is a lot of pretty spots. Well, I actually lived in Houston
Uh-huh.
until I was born in Oklahoma, but I left Oklahoma when my mom decided to divorce my dad, and then we went to San Antonio for a while.
Mhm.
And then she decided she'd had enough of that and got a job in Houston. So I lived there in Houston for a while, and I liked it. I mean, there's some, I guess, you know, for a big city,
Mhm.
you know, and went to school there in junior high. And then when I was about 14, I ended up running away. I was a bad girl. Yeah. And running away and joining a commune. I mean, it's going to be in the book, you know. And yeah, with a bunch
It
of,
sounds like a very Aquarius things to do.
yeah, it was really Aquarius. Well, my mom, she ended up when I was about 13 trying to take her own life. She had some problems, some really deep problems. And I think she basically just had a nervous breakdown of that. You know, she
Mm.
had all these kids back to back and had been with my dad. And my dad was just kind of overbearing, and they had a traditional relationship. And I think she went and got her English degree and became a proofreader. And I think she was just worn out. She was working night shift, and she, I think, was drinking a little too much in order to sleep at night. She was, you know, I'd come home from school and she wouldn't be there. And then I'd wake up in the morning and she'd be asleep. And so I was alone constantly, which was fine with me. I mean, I was a teenager. I was having friends over, having a good old time, smoking
Mhm.
pot, you know, living it up. I was just kind of one of those.
How
Yeah.
old were you when you left home?
I was 13.
You left at 13?
Yes. Yes. And basically what happened is I came home one day and there was an ambulance in the front yard. And my sister was there. My sister was 8 years older than me. And she said, get in the car. We're taking you to Oklahoma, because that's where my father and my family was. And she told me in the car that mom had a nervous breakdown. And, you know, basically it was a call for attention. You know, my mom needed some help, and
Mhm.
she ended up getting that help. They put her in a center or whatever you call those things, you know, so
Mhm.
she could get the help she needed. But
Okay.
yeah, so I ended up staying with relatives. And then when she brought me back to Houston, I was just like, I couldn't handle it. I just couldn't handle it. So one
Mm.
day, the second day of, I think, ninth grade, she put me in, we'd been living in a lower income neighborhood, and my best girlfriends were all Hispanic. and black. And here I was, like one of the only white girls in my school. And then she moves me to this really rich neighborhood, and they're all driving like little convertible VWs, and they're all rich. And it's like, that wasn't me at all. You know, I'm wearing ZZ Top t-shirts and blue jeans, you know, and I'm smoking joints, you know, I'm just kind of one of those girls, you know. And so the second day of ninth grade, I had met this guy on the beach, and I just put my thumb out and I left. And I was gone for 2 weeks, and my mom was really worried about me. Anyway, long story short, I hitchhiked and ended up in Oregon, and just ended up hitchhiking around for a really long time. And I called her and told her where I was. And so the ultimate thing that came out of that was my daughter. When I was 16, I ended up living in this communal situation on a farm in Oregon, and they were artists and professors and different things like that. And I had my daughter there, and you know, it was actually really, really good for me because I got away from a lot of the bad kind of situations I was getting into, and learned a lot about science and farming and art, you know, and was hanging around with these really nice older people in their 30s who were talking about peace on earth and higher consciousness and love. And they were just so good to me. And I really feel like, you know, I don't know if you believe in God or what you believe in or whatever, but I really believe my higher power just put me there to kind of lead me into a different direction, you know. And
Amazing. Amazing
yeah,
story.
yes, it was amazing. And we built a little house, and I'm still in touch with all of them, and I'm still in Oregon.
Talking about that, I think that the future is going to be more like that, because we need that sense of belonging to a community, especially women in the age of having children. I think that they would benefit more in a situation when everybody is taking care of them while they have their children, you know. And it was always like that, and we lost that. We lost that community support. And I believe that eventually we have to go back to that situation in which we are taken care and nurtured by everybody, not living in an isolated life alone with our kids, and you know, going from work to a 9 to 5 job, and then come back and work more with the kids and
Right.
homework and duties in the house, and you know, cooking and everything. And that is very tiring, and it doesn't give you the time that you need to be yourself, to be creative, to let go, to live in the present moment, those things that are so human and so necessary for growth. We have to rescue all of that to give us back those things.
Yeah, and to just bond with, you know, especially when you're pregnant, you know, I was so young to bond with your child. You know, I feel like I was just graced, given such a gift, you know. And
Mhm.
I wasn't really worried about money because we were living there for free. And, you know, my partner, her dad, the guy I ran away with, was working, you know, cutting firewood or what have you. But
Mhm.
I really was in grace in that time. And, you know, I wonder if we did incarnate from somewhere. I don't know of that. I wonder, you know, I don't know if I believe in reincarnation, or,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. That's a big question. That's a
Mhm.
really big question. Huh. But I do wonder sometimes if we choose missions when we come and we're born, you know, whether or not it's reincarnation or whatever, but when we choose to be babies, if we choose kind of what our path's going to be, you know.
Mhm. Yes, I
And if that's
know.
part of the reason we're all coming together now, because
Mhm.
we chose to connect, you
Or
know.
maybe we were siblings before.
We were siblings.
Now we're siblings again.
Yeah. Yeah, from a really big family.
A really huge family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you end up in Houston?
Well, my son was diagnosed in Puerto Rico with autism, and I felt very frustrated because I couldn't find what my son needed in terms of therapy and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And also, even though I was even though I was very happy because I bought my first property, which was a little house in the countryside, in the forest, and it was close to his school and the school that I was teaching. So everything seemed perfect. But the situation with the therapy that he needed was difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So I took my chance. I heard that Houston ISD was in Puerto Rico hiring teachers, and I just went there and I said, well, who knows? Maybe they accept me. And yes, they gave me the job as a bilingual teacher, and that's how I came in 2005.
Cool.
But before that, I was living in I had my son in Puerto Rico, but before that, I lived in Los Angeles, first in New York and then in Los Angeles. And I did all those years until I was 35 years old when I had my son. All those years, I was a full time artist and I was traveling and doing my work. But when I had my son, I couldn't do that anymore because I didn't earn enough money and a stable income to take care of him. So, for all those reasons, I finally
Mm,
decided to come back to the United States, and I came to Houston because that was the opportunity that I was given to work as a teacher. So that's how it was.
that's that's really something else. You got to work all that time as a performance artist.
Mhm.
That's
Yes.
amazing. You traveled worldwide, probably.
I didn't travel as much, but I had the chance to meet Europe and South America and Central America and the Caribbean and other islands of the Caribbean. So
Wow,
for a person that is young, that's huge.
that's brilliant.
I was feeling like I was the most, like privileged person in the world.
That's
And it
amazing.
was all free because it was by invitation with everything paid. So I was like blessed.
Oh man, that's
Yeah.
totally.
It was a
Can
very
I
nice.
can I ask you a weird question? How tall are you?
Tall?
Yeah,
I'm not tall. I'm 5'3", and a little bit more.
I just wondered because I'm like 6 foot tall, and I've been
Oh,
wondering. Yeah, and I've just been wondering how tall a lot of the other women are. It's
that's
like, well, I wonder.
interesting.
Yeah, I just was curious. It doesn't matter at all.
So you had your child. How many children did you have? One
I just have
person?
one. I'm
Like
like you.
me, the
We
same.
just have the one, you know.
Mhm.
And what's your son's name?
Nicolas.
Oh, Nico. That's my nephew's name.
Oh, really?
Yes, our little Nico. Nico
Mhm.
Pico. Yeah, that's a good name.
Nico.
So cute. So cute.
Yes. And so how did you get into the arts, into singing? You told me that you did singing.
Well, yeah, I took some musical theater. I really just started doing like singing at the commune. You know what I mean? We're always sitting around playing music, and you know, people tell me you have a good voice or whatever. My mother always sang.
Oh.
She had a beautiful voice, and so I just sang with them, and um, you know, learned songs with the guys, and a lot of Grateful Dead and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and just those kind of songs, and
Yeah.
nothing like what you were doing, you know. But
Mm.
then I went and I took some musical theater, and I did some performance art with that, and did some stuff at Burning Man, and did some stuff with just open mics, and then with bands and just stuff like that. Nothing
Mhm.
noteworthy, nothing like, I wasn't traveling around, you
Mhm.
know, being brilliant like you or anything like that, you know. But
Mm.
I studied a little bit of opera, and did some things like that at the colleges, and
Mhm.
you know, and uh, I studied with this performance artist named Sierra, and she did some things where I did a couple of little one woman type shows that were really short. They were just
Mhm.
short, but sang some Baghdad Cafe, if you're familiar with Baghdad Cafe, and
Mhm.
did a couple of
Yes.
pieces out of that. A really haunting, you know, I Am Calling You, that one song. I love
Mhm.
that piece.
That
And
that song is incredible in terms of the harmony. Is amazing.
oh, that song is so incredible, you know, and
Yes.
she made me reach, and you know what she really helped me with is I didn't want to be seen, you know, because even when I wasn't fat, you know, even when I was thin, because of some things that happened to me as a kid that weren't so nice, I didn't want to be seen on stage. I had performance anxiety. And she really, really helped me with that, like turning
Mhm.
over the performance to my higher power and just doing it anyway, you know. And so she really helped me get through that. And I think that if I had had that kind of encouragement early on, that I would have been a much stronger and more vibrant performer and more prolific, much more prolific. You know, I did a lot of plays that didn't involve singing, and
Mhm.
some things like that. But I really, you know, sometimes I wish I'd had different. My parents had had different skill set to help me and urge me to be a more prolific entertainer, because I really just loved it. It was such a natural thing,
Yes.
but it was really inside of me that I kept myself from doing it. I could just cry because you know what I'm talking about.
I know. I know it's very difficult to be the one who breaks the mold in the family because you take that all that opposition, and it's so difficult. It's easier when your family is in the art business because they know the business, and they can encourage their kids who want to be artists to pursue their career. But when we come from families that they don't know anything about art, it's very hard.
Yeah, and it's amazing
Yeah.
how we stand in the way of our own creativity because we don't want to be too powerful, you
Mhm.
know, or
Mhm.
or too seen, or too, we don't want to be too amazing, you know, and scare people. You know what I'm saying? Exactly.
I know
And,
exactly what you mean. Exactly
and
what you mean. And
it's,
I've been there so many times. Yeah. Yes. And what
Sorry.
That's okay.
It just kind of came out of me out of nowhere,
No, that's very important. It's very important to go through those um, healing processes. It's very important.
Yeah,
And
it's like it's like a friend of mine told me, it's like it's not too late. It's never too late.
I think this is the beginning for us. I really do. And I think that you will have a, you will see it very clearly very soon what is your mission from now on, because
Mhm.
this is how I feel in my gut right now. I feel that there's something that I have to do that is going to launch very soon. So,
I know, it's like it's pushing us from behind, it's
mm,
just urging. It's gentle and good, but
mm.
it's definitely like intense, like something urging me to do something. And I can feel it with all of you, it's like, you know, and
Yes,
I don't have
it's
no,
like when everybody's retiring, this is the moment that we feel that, okay, now is the time I'm going to do something. I'm not
yeah,
retiring. I'm not.
yeah, yeah.
Mm,
So I've been so active, on the phone with people and just talking to them about their problems, or and I had this astrologer tell me that that would be what kind of would happen. I would be more active, um maybe not physically, because I have this physical thing I have to deal with that keeps me from being as active as I'd love to be out gardening right now and doing that kind of thing. But that I'd be more active socially. But it's not even socially so much as it is just helping people more, and it's been people in the group and different people that I've just kind of met or from my past. It's been kind of a
mhm.
trip.
It's going to happen. I feel it in my gut, and I know that uh, usually, and I'm sure that you have gone through that. Usually, when we feel things in, when our intuition is telling us that soon this breakthrough is going to happen, it happens. It happens for real. So it's like another part of ourselves is already there. That even though
Mhm.
we don't see it, there is another wisdom. The part of us that has more wisdom is seeing it already there. And I feel that we are going to, as a collective, where we have an opportunity to share uh, all this wonderful life that we have, because we haven't lived the normal life. We have traveled, we had lived in different places, we have done all
Mhm.
types of jobs. And another thing that it really um, um, amazed me is the capacity that we have to recover from situations that are so traumatic, as if nothing happened and we start all over again, you know.
Isn't that true? The
This,
resilience.
is like the phoenix, that
Mhm.
we have these cycles when things are really bad, but suddenly we get rejuvenated and a new cycle starts, and it is as nothing happened, you
I
know.
know, it's like water off a duck's back, and we're so resilient. It's
Exactly.
that's
Resilience.
what
That's the word.
one of my friends was called me a phoenix that rises from the ashes. It's like I was traveling in Turkey and a friend of mine died while we were over there in a tragic accident. And I came back and my friends were like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" It's like, yeah, it was meant to be there and this happened, but you know, I'm okay, you know, I'm okay. Because I think that we all kind of have our experiences for a reason, you know, and we have to maintain our strength and carry on and keep going in our lives. And there's always going to be a tragedy. There's always going to be something in life that life throws you that's a curveball. And we are so resilient if we
Yes,
let
yes,
ourselves be and don't get stuck in it and keep harping
exactly,
on it. You
exactly.
know, I know people who just keep harping on negative and keep in a circular thing. And it's so exhausting to be around them
True.
because they just keep harping on the same thing. And it's like, I've known you 15 years and you're still talking about
I
that.
know. Yes, it's true. It is true. I have had a conversation with my sister before, the same thing, that we see people that have gone through much less than we have gone through, and they cannot overpass that. They stay stuck in that situation, and they cannot
Let go.
they cannot get freedom from that situation. I think that's another of the qualities of our sign, that we are able
Mhm.
to overpass it. And I also think that is not a that it was it's our destiny. Right? That's what I think. That we had to go through these situations in our life when we were kids and younger, so we could go through all the situations that people fear, because I feel that everything that I feared,
Mhm.
I went through them, all of them.
Right.
So now that we are in the other side of those things that we always wanted to never happen to us, and we are in the other side already at this age, we can be of service to people, because we can
Right.
show them how to overcome those situations in our particular careers, or with our particular um,
Skill
skills.
set.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because as an artist, I don't feel that I am an art therapist, and it's not my intention to be a therapist, but I have seen it, that in sometimes when I do my performances, there are people who are healing, and
Hmm.
it's because all those experiences are there in vibration. The healing process is there, and we transmit that as a vibration, and people get that healing vibration from us. It's
Definitely.
almost magical.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, I could definitely see that in the work that you do.
Mhm.
Definitely. If
And
people
you
are
told me
open.
that when you sung, you felt you had the same feedback from people, right?
Yes. Yeah. People, I think people respond to music because it's such a non-judgmental thing,
Mhm.
and they can just sit there and listen to it and be in it and let it wash over them and let it speak to them, and it transforms them. They can be transformed within it, and you can watch little kids, and if they hear a cello or a piano, and you can watch them just crawling up there and wanting to be in it and with it.
Mhm.
And it just they're so excited and they want to be transformed and they want to hear the voice and be around the voice, because
Exactly.
it's such a beautiful, non-judgmental, in the present. Somebody told me that was a therapist one time, that when you're singing, you can't be thinking about your problems.
Exactly.
And so
You
that's why
are
music,
you are in the present moment. So music is a type of meditation because you are always in the present moment.
yep. And I had someone recently told me that I needed to be singing every day because singing is so good for the heart, that it heals the heart. If people have heart problems, they should be singing.
And singing is also a mantra. So it's also a
Mhm.
connection to the light somehow. So it's
Huh.
accessing the the light and transmuting the light into
Well, I need more of
this
that.
3D this 3D situation that we're living, right? That's at least that's how I feel it sometimes.
So what do you see going from here in like the Zoom groups? It's like Ushers of the Aquarian Age, and I just wonder what we're going to do to carry the message, to help people. I just would it I mean, I can just see so many different ways. Even,
Mhm.
you know, I've seen with all people, everyone's talents, even doing a show or doing
Uh-huh.
I mean, gosh, or I don't know, there's just so many different ways that I could see helping. And I think it's yet to be hitting the nail on the head. I think it's yet to be discovered. I think
Mhm.
maybe it's a group consciousness thing that we
Mhm.
haven't come upon yet. And that's why we're all, Andrea and Dan and all of us, are having these Zoom meetings, because at some point we're going to go, aha, okay, maybe.
Yes, we. I feel like you feel. I see the possibilities, but I still don't see a particular concrete thing yet because I think it's going to be built together as a
Hmm.
collective, as an entity, all together as an entity. And in the combination of all those skills and thoughts, we are going to get somewhere. And I trust that is going to be wonderful.
Yeah, and I think that it'll be like any kind of group where there's hierarchies or not, that some people will fade away and some people will get stronger, and
Mhm,
we'll get to know each other better, and
mhm.
that it'll just kind of organically
Exactly.
become and will resonate more and more
Mhm,
with the ideas, and come up with what's going to work you
exactly.
know
My concern is that the living situation that the generation of my son, for example, what they are living now is very accelerated. The change is coming in a rhythm that is too quick,
Hmm.
and changes are like you know in the motion of the light. So uh, how we are going to give like a sense of foundation from which all those changes will emerge and keep going into the future. That's the way I say it.
Yeah, like bridging that gap,
Exactly.
because they're so different, and the way that they receive and send messages is so different from.
Yes. There are
And
a lot of things that I share with my son, who is now 23, that are very similar. And there are others that I don't even know what he's talking about.
Right.
But at least I see that there is an understanding, a more advanced understanding of the spiritual part of humans that is more open and more yes, more open, more detached from religion and costumes and very rigid situations. And also, I see a revival of esoterics because that was like that disappeared completely for a long time, and suddenly kids of the age of my son are interested again. And also that something very interesting of combining the knowledge that they have of technology with a sense of, how can I call it? With a sense of dignity to what being a human really is.
Right. Right.
Respect of the part of what humans are. Not humans are products or people who are going to work to exhaustion all their lives serving and exploiting themselves.
Yeah, they're not.
And then being just dismissed as a product, as something that you buy in a store, which is that type of situation. And they want dignity in terms of work. What they want is to be able to serve the community, but from the space of dignity, not exploitation. And they honor the time that they need to slow down and be themselves. So I feel that that's a good beginning.
Yeah, I think that's a really good beginning.
Yes, that can make space for a new type of system, economic system and political system that is more respectful towards the human part of humans.
Right, and not exploitive. I understand exactly what you're saying, and I think you're right. You're totally right track, and I agree with you. Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah, we'll definitely see what happens. Well, what time is it? Do you know?
I think we have talked for an hour and a half almost.
Okay, well, I think that's a good place to say so long for now, and it's been wonderful to talk to you.
The same here.
We can always talk more at another time.
Yeah, we can keep chatting.
That flew by. That didn't seem like that long to me.
Yes.
It was really good. I found out, yeah. And thank you so much, Yvette. It was good to get to know you a little bit better. And hopefully I'll see you at the Zoom meeting on, I think is it tomorrow?
I don't know if it's tomorrow or Sunday. I have to check.
Yeah, I think it's tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And
okay.
I usually, I don't know if I'm going to just sit back and listen this time, or I don't know. It just depends. It depends. But you're lovely. It was so good to talk to you, and I'm glad we finally got to do that.
Yes, finally.
I know. I'm like, that's gonna think I'm a
Yeah.
total blank, but no, it was just I wasn't feeling good.
Well, so see you tomorrow then.
All right, dear.
Take care.
Take care, honey.
Bye.
Bye bye.